Hey guys, what's going on? We're back with another mythic dungeon. We are doing the EcoDome Aldani. This is during the season 3 preseason. So basically, we had to run a bunch of M0s and a bunch of delves. But the new dungeon right now, I'd say, is pretty cool, and I can't wait to see what exactly we got to do in Mythic Plus. But on better news, before I talk about the new dungeon, I want to talk about the Enhancement Shaman buffs that we're getting. So if you didn't know, Blizzard announced a patch a couple days ago or something, some blue notes, and Enhancement saw some buffs, which is really, really nice. Now, they're not extreme buffs that'll put us all the way up at the top, which is fine. They are some small buffs that are definitely going to make a difference, though. And what those buffs are is Lavalash is getting 15% increased damage. Now, this is going to be huge for Totemic. Not only is Lavalash like your top button that you press anyways, it's like your top damage. You are also buffing your foreset, which causes you to basically mimic a Lavalash at 150% damage. So that's it getting further buffed by this buff as well. So we're going to see Lavalash even further ahead, which is going to be crazy. So we're going to see these massive Lavalash hitting. And now keep in mind, all these buffs are actually going through to PvP too. So if you're like me and you do both PvE and PvP, well then we're seeing some fun. So on to the next one, we're seeing Wind Strike damage increased by 20%. So if you don't know what Wind Strike is, it's basically when you Ascendance, that is your Storm Strike. That's what your Storm Strike has changed to. It's becoming Wind Strike. So they're basically increasing the amount of damage you value Ascendance has by increasing Wind Strike by a significant amount, like 20%, which is crazy. So on top of that, that's not only buffing Storm Strike, or not Storm Strike, sorry, Wind Strike, but that's also buffing one of the talents that makes Storm Strike and Wind Strike do extra nature damage based on how much you do. Yeah, I think it's Storm Surge or something. I can't remember. But yeah, it is definitely a pretty big buff right there. So Ascendance is going to be pretty nice for Stormbringer. And then onto Totemic specific buffs, we got Surging Bolt damage increased by 25%. So if you don't know what that one is, then it's basically whenever you have your totem down for Totemic, you cast a Maelstrom Spender, so such as Elemental Blast, Lightning Bolt, or Chain Lightning, and I think in some cases actually Primordial Storm. I'm not sure. I don't think so though. But one of those, every time you do that, you have a chance to send out a bolt from your totem to do a bit of damage and then further increase your Surging Totem's damage as well. So that's getting buffed by 25%, and it actually does quite a significant amount of damage right now. So seeing it increase by 25% is actually going to make it do quite a lot of damage, and it actually will kind of increase the value of Maelstrom Spenders as well. Now, it'll never pass Lavalash, but it might actually pass other things, so we'll have to see how that goes. And then we have another buff for Totemic, which is Searing Bolt damage increased by 35%. So if you don't know what Searing Bolt is, that is from your Searing Totem. So every time you Lavalash, you have a chance to spawn a Searing Totem. Basically, that's the single target effect. I don't believe this is buffing the Foley effect because it specifically says Searing Bolt. So it might, but I highly doubt it. So it's just buffing the single target effect of your Searing Totem. So that's going up by 35%. If you've ever watched its damage, it actually does pretty solid damage, although most of it comes from Searing Volley because that is triggered every time you Lavalash, Hailstorm, Fire Nova, Crash Lightning, Chain Lightnings, anything like that. So we'll definitely see a solid increase from that. And then the final buff is for Stormbringer specifically. We got Awakening Storm's damage increased by 35%. So in the last buffs, we actually saw Awakening Storm get increased before this. So we're seeing it increased once again. So this is going to be doing like so much damage. It's wild. So we could actually be seeing the drop of Elemental Blast even. I'm personally not going to play Elemental Blast with Stormbringer. I hate it. I just feel like I get more value out of Lightning Bolt. But anyways, what this does is every time you Storm Strike, you Chain Lightning, you Wind Strike, or you Lightning Bolt, you have a chance to deal a little bit of extra damage of nature and generate a stack of Awakening Storms, which works towards our Tempest. And so once you get 4, you get a Tempest. And with our 2 set, once you get 8 stacks of that, you get Ascendance. So yeah, it's going to go kind of crazy. But seeing that damage and seeing these buffs, honestly, I'm excited for our single target because I know a lot of people might be upset that Enhance is getting some light here, but like, let's be honest, Enhance really hasn't been that good since the start of season 2. Everybody has seen many buffs, whereas Enhance just kind of coasted along. You know, we're obviously not like extremely far behind, but we were definitely down at the bottom for raid, and then Mythic Plus we kind of fell into the mid tiers. So seeing us get a little bit of a buff is nice just to keep us somewhat competitive. So I don't want to be top because that puts a spotlight on us and I don't like that. So I like to be middle of the pack so that way, you know, I don't have to feel so bad about not topping the meters all the time. But you kind of feel better when you do top the meters. So it's definitely, I'm excited. I'm excited. And all these buffs are going into PvP as well. So it'll be interesting to see how things change throughout this whole thing. But anyways, on to the topic of the EcoDome. So this dungeon was very interesting. The first boss, as you saw, uh, has a few mechanics. One that is a bit weird and one that's kind of old, but finally came back, I guess. So the first one is the ads kind of jump around everywhere, so you got to be nice and close, and then you just nuke them down. I don't know what else they do. It might just be like raw AoE damage. And then you have the pull in and devour. I don't know if I don't remember if we saw that or not, but basically it pulls everybody in, and if you don't run away or you get caught by the boss, you basically get devoured or die. So it's definitely an old one, but definitely a good mechanic to see. So I'm curious to how this is all going to play out in Mythic Plus. And then you also have the just your typical get the stuff out of the arena. So you get shot with a circle and you just run out and get that away. And then as for all the trash, I didn't see anything too crazy. Um, some of these ethereals actually do like a mass AoE effect, and that kind of hurts. But other than that, you get like a small magic debuff that can be dispelled and does a little bit AoE damage. And there definitely seems to be a lot of AoE damage in general. So I'm curious to how that's going to play out in the hierarchies. And then these warp stalkers that are coming up kind of blink towards you. It's kind of interesting. So they'll definitely be a pain in the butt to keep an eye on or keep into positions and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly is going to happen with this dungeon in Mythic Plus and see how it changes and all the pulls, because you can definitely skip a lot in this place. Like I think after doing it a few times, because I did it on both Shaman and my Warrior, then I did it a couple more times just to fill out my vault and get a feel for it. There's a lot of trash you can skip. Like you can do this place in like 5 pulls or something, and that's all you have to do. It's kind of crazy. So I'm curious to how much trash count we are going to need. But until the second boss here, we gotta activate it by killing this trash here, and this overcharged Sentinel actually does a frontal AoE. It's like a tank buster. The tank cannot dodge it, so you can't be standing on him. Other than that, there's nothing too crazy about those guys. But this triggers the boss, and this boss actually has a very interesting mechanic. And honestly, I honestly wasn't seeing this coming. But anyways, so the first one is going to be a spear effect. So he's going to mark you with a spear, and then you kind of get out, and then you kill that spear. And basically you're tethered to the spear, so you can't really do anything. So you don't want to run too far away, but you do want to get out so nobody else gets caught. You'll see here I kind of back up a little bit, staying somewhat close, and then you just cleave down or fully target the javelin, because that tethers you to that spot, so you can't do anything. And then we got here is the warp strike. So this comes into play later. Basically it's just a dot. The more people that get hit by it, the more dots you get out. So you want to avoid hitting other people with it, and you want to avoid running into it. This is the interesting mechanic. So you have to take the Warp Stalker and you have to run it into the boss. You have to get the line through the boss to get rid of all of his orbs. So this was actually really cool mechanic. I thought it was very interesting. It's definitely going to be quite difficult for healers to heal out, especially if things go wrong. But I mean, after you do this, you then get a cleave fest. So the guy jumps off of the mount or whatever, or the warp stalker comes out, and you just get to cleave him right down. It's great. I said that's a pretty good reward for what we have to deal with. So, and there's not too many mechanics. They're not too difficult, and they're definitely straightforward. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes on a tyrannical difficulty. And I also think this might actually end up being a lust boss as well. So you'd probably like lust the first trash pull, and then maybe lust this guy when he jumps off of his mount and try and burn him down. So it'll definitely be an interesting zone. Let me go into the final zone here. So we'll be walking up, which is very interesting. And keep in mind, I got 0 loot, and it sucked. But yeah, we're running up to the final zone, which has these staffs you can channel into. And oh yeah, this gun is cool. That's a pretty cool gun. It kind of looks like a sword though. But we run up to this staff here, and you can channel into it and gain like a haste and movement buff. So it's pretty cool. And then these big ethereal guys do like a mass AoE effect that you can't dodge or do anything about. Erratic ritual. So this actually hurts a lot. So later on, I have a feeling we're going to have to use a defensive or a big healing cooldown to get through that. But we were trying to kind of go fast enough to where we could get so you get the staff buff, and then we were trying to go fast enough to see if we could get multiple stacks, and we weren't fast enough, unfortunately. But it was something to try later on. See if you could get. I don't know if anybody has done it yet, so you never know. But yeah, it would be interesting if you could stack it multiple times, get up to 4 stacks, and off you go. But yeah, so that was interesting. But again, like these pack speakers are definitely going to be a nightmare, especially on like a fortified week, or on 12s or whatever higher. It's definitely gonna hurt. Definitely gonna hurt. So, but other than that, like all the trash is pretty simple. So unless they force us to pull some random crap out in the middle of nowhere, I don't know what's gonna go on. So I really have no idea, because you can skip so much. Like you don't even have to pull this pack we're pulling. You can run around it. You don't have to pull these. You can do these staff guys, but you can also skip these by waiting for the patrol, running through to the wall and skip that, and so on and so forth. Like there's so much you can skip in this place. It's wild. It's actually wild. So I am quite excited to see what the guys come up with when they're making their routes for this place. So it'll definitely be interesting, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of skips, or maybe just like one big pull and the rest skipped. I don't know, but or maybe they make use of this staff buff. Who knows? But it'll be kind of interesting. So here we do the staff, and then we run up. Then we actually collect this staff. So this is where we're like, okay, go. See if we can't get the staff. And unfortunately, we got caught in combat, and then we tried to nuke this stuff down as fast as possible. I think we missed it by like a second or two, something like that. So we get very, very close, but we don't get the chance to get 2 stacks, unfortunately. So here we get 2 seconds. We're like, click, go. And we're literally a second off. It was just, oh man, it was so hard. So if you guys did get 2 stacks, let me know, so that way maybe that's a strat later on. But yeah, this is going to be a scary pack in this place, because it's got 2 of the packed speakers which do the erratic ritual, and they seem to do it at the same time, and you can just see it's a lot of damage going out. It really is. Now I'm not sure if the healer was actually trying to heal through that or not, but yeah, it was definitely a lot of damage. So I am curious to how that will play out later on. There's definitely going to be like a defensive healing cooldown, and they seem to cast it quite frequently too. Like if you don't kill them after the first one, I think it's like 2 casts, and then it's like erratic ritual once again. So it's definitely going to be scary. And then we have the final boss here, which is quite unique actually. I didn't understand it at first, but now that I've done it a few times, I get it. Uh, Basically, she summons, I think it's a female, I don't know. Soul Scribe summons you a image of yourself, and you have to go pick it up before it gets hit by the mechanic. So it's quite interesting, actually. So here we have Whispers of Fate, and then you see that big old arrow with the beam on it. I have to go collect that and then get it out of the frontal. And so I went and collected it, and then I ate the frontal. I don't know. I don't know what we were thinking, but after doing it a few times, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense now. So here we go again. We get it, and then I actually just collect it and then get back to the boss. I don't know. So it worked out, but I thought this was a very unique and fun mechanic, honestly, better than previous ones that have been the final boss and stuff like that. So quite excited to keep doing this one. And then you can see my soul is way out there, so I thought, okay, maybe I can just block it. No, you can't block it. You got to go collect that. So it is a bit of a unfortunate placement, and I took a lot of damage there. So it's just definitely not smart. But here is one that spawns 3. So you want to collect all 3 of them. It's kind of crazy, but you want to focus on the ones that are in the beam first and then collect the ones afterwards. So very interesting, very interesting. But overall, I think this dungeon is going to be a whole lot of fun. But anyways, guys, that is it. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Laters!